Okay, I'm recording this from my bed tonight on my phone, no professional mic, no studio setup, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But first, just know that if the audio sounds a little bit different this week, it's on purpose. So I've been playing with a thought this week that has really rearranged something in me. And I want to share it because I think it directly connects to everything that happened over the last 2 weeks when I went into my little comparison spiral that put me in a bit of a gray fog, which led to calling on my future self to come sit with me and coach me through a moment last week. And then Stacy's voice note coming through the next morning. So all of that. And the thought I want to talk about is this. If I'm aware of it, it's because I'm becoming more of an energetic match to it. Every journey starts with a choice, and mine is a bet. For 1 year, I'm gambling on energy over strategy. No more forcing and no pushing. Just the courage to show up and see what happens when reality becomes my playground. This isn't a podcast. It's a real-time experiment in the lab of my life. Welcome to the bet. So let me unpack what I mean by that. A couple weeks ago, I was talking about this. I saw someone's Substack sitting at over 2,000 subscribers. And I believe we both started our Substacks around the same time. And it put me in my little spiral. You heard the whole thing already. It sent me into one of the worst weeks I've had in this experiment from a mindset perspective. I made it mean that I was behind, that what I'm doing must not be working, that I'm somehow doing the exact same thing she's doing, but I'm the one failing at it. And this week, something flipped. I was thinking about that moment again, not from the pit of the hole, right? But from the elevation, from the distance, from the emotional neutrality that I've created around it. I was able to look at it with a fresh perspective. And it landed on me in a completely different way. The only things that come into our awareness are things that our energy and our filter perceive. Our brain is filtering out billions of data every second. It's constructing a version of reality based on what it has decided is relevant to us right now in this moment. So that is how the neuroscience works. Your reticular activating system, your RAS, is a bouncer at the doorway of your awareness. The RAS decides what gets through into your awareness, what you can actually perceive, and what stays outside of your awareness. If it didn't, we would be short-circuiting from all the data coming at us. So when I saw that Substack number, my brain let it through, made it past the bouncer, which means some part of my energy is interacting with that frequency. Some part of me is close enough to that kind of growth that my filter said, hey, this is relevant to you. You've been working on this too. And instead of noticing it and interpreting that as evidence that I'm on the right track, that I'm doing that same damn thing, I interpret it as evidence that I am somehow failing. That's the whole problem right there. We see someone else's success, and instead of realizing we are becoming more and more of an energetic match for that, otherwise we wouldn't even be noticing it, instead of that, we make it mean something is wrong with how I'm doing it. Instead of recognizing that we wouldn't even be perceiving it at all if it wasn't somehow connected to our own potential. I would not have noticed that number if I were energetically nowhere near it, if it meant nothing to me. It wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't have even registered. The filter would not have picked up on that signal. I would have scrolled right past it. Same way 1,000 other posts scroll past me every day without landing. That one stuck because something in me is moving toward something like that. When you think about it like that, it's really fucking cool. And of course, my brain flagged it. So the question I've been practicing with all week is, how quickly can I catch that moment? How quickly can I see something that gets past the bouncer, something that comes into my awareness that is signaling someone else's success? How quickly can I catch that and say, yes, yes. The only reason I'm even aware of this is because I'm becoming a stronger match for something just like it, or better. That's the reframe. And it's rooted in how the brain actually filters our reality. We perceive what we are primed to perceive. That's how the biology works. Cannot perceive it otherwise. If you're seeing it, it's because your system is already calibrating toward it. Now, the old pattern says, I see her success, therefore I'm behind. But the upgrade says, I see her success, therefore I'm in the same neighborhood. I'm in that same energetic neighborhood as her. I wouldn't see it otherwise. My system is orienting toward that frequency. That's information. It's a really good sign. So I've been running this reframe all week, and it feels very different in my body. It feels exciting to notice when someone hits 1 million followers on Instagram and is talking about it. Normally wouldn't even pay attention to that. But now I feel it as a sign of my own energetic success. And it doesn't feel like I'm trying to convince myself of something. More like I'm just interpreting the data differently. And that brought me to another thought that hit while I was processing all of this. As you know, I talked about this last month. I have 40 Substack subscribers right now, 40. And I thought about, what's the alternative to that? What's the alternative to impacting 40 people? It would be impacting 0. If I stopped doing all of this tomorrow, if I shut down the podcast and the Substack and the Instagram and just went dark, just went quiet, my impact absolutely drops to nothing. Nobody would hear anything from me. 0 perspectives would be shifted. And I started thinking about what impact actually looks like when you stop trying to measure it the way business people measure things. Because the thing about impact is that it just isn't linear. I might say something in a memo episode that shifts a very small thought for one person. And that person isn't going to come to me and say, hey, Laura, you changed how I see the entire world. They might not even say, hey, Laura, you changed how I see this one thing. They might not even be aware that it happened at all. So a lot of the times how our subconscious shifts work. But maybe that shifted thought changes the way they respond to their kid at dinner. Or maybe it changes a decision they make about their life. Or maybe it changes a sentence that they say to a friend, and that sentence lands at the exact right moment for the friend who needed to hear it. That's 3 layers deep, and none of it traces back to me or shows up in some kind of analytic that I can measure. But it happened. The ripple went out, traveled down its little layer holes, but there's no way to measure it. And there's also no way to stop a ripple once it starts. It just keeps expanding. And now that person has a ripple that they can send to someone else. How do you measure that? So on one hand, it makes me think, why am I even doing these monthly check-ins with these metrics? Like, why am I even measuring that? Downloads and subscribers and views. I'm not going to stop doing that. I'm not trying to say that. I'm totally committed to transparency here. And that means sharing the numbers. But I do think there's got to be better metrics. I need to figure out what I'm actually tracking here. Because the things that matter most to me in this experiment, the impact I'm having, maybe they're the things that are the least measurable. And one metric I'm adding right now is how many of my own thoughts did I change this week? I'm going to have to get really good at tracking these because I have never really paid attention to how many there are. But this is what actually happened. I caught a comparison thought, I flipped it, and now I'm moving through my week differently. That's a real measurable shift in how I'm showing up in my business. So that's my thoughts on that. I was on the phone with my son earlier today, and he likes to call me on Sundays. We have these great chats. He asked me if I was feeling better since we talked last Sunday when I was in my little gray zone. And I told him about this thing I've been practicing, where anytime I start feeling like my life isn't producing external signs of success, I stop and realize that right now, the moment I'm in right now, I can generate a feeling of success in my mind. I can create, in fact, such a strong energy of success and feeling of success that I realize I don't actually need to do anything to feel successful. You can feel successful right now if you stop and cultivate it in your mind. And I've gotten really good at doing that. In fact, I told him I'm so good at it that I could sit on the sofa and say, I am in a moment of total success right now while I'm doing literally nothing. And he laughed harder than I have heard him laugh in a very long time. He was like, that is an awesome mental trick. If you can actually feel so successful that you don't have to do anything in order to actually be successful. Like, that is hilarious, right? We're just tricking ourselves the whole time. And I'm laughing right now thinking about it because it does sound ridiculous, but it's not a trick. It's the whole thing. If you can learn to only move, to only take action from that energy of already having the success without a hint of, I have to do this, or I need to do this, or else I won't be successful. If instead you do things from the space of, I'm already totally successful, so I could sit on the couch if I wanted to, then you take action, right? That means the action is just action at that point. It's not tied to any needing of an outcome or having to control it or having to have things be a certain way. You stop grasping at trying to make the connection between what you do and the outcome it has, like, mean something about yourself. Just stop forcing that. And you move from a place of already being full. You are already successful. This action you're taking isn't even tied to that. That is liberating to me. And I think it's connected to why this week feels so different from last week. Last week, I was grasping, I was measuring, I was looking for evidence that this is working and not finding it, not in the places I was looking. And this week, I feel like I really stopped looking. I stopped looking outside of myself and just focused on generating the feeling from the inside. And from that place, all the external stuff just loses its grip on me. It's interesting. I also want to share something from one of my one-on-one clients. I had a call with her, and she's working through a version of this same pattern. She's someone who has always tied her value to her productivity. The more she does, the more she feels like she's quote unquote worth, like being productive. And we've been shaping her life and building her life around doing less and receiving more, which is so much fun. It sounds simple until you actually try to do it and your entire nervous system revolts. So I gave her an assignment this week. I call it the horizontal vibe. I told her anytime the thought comes up that she should be doing something more, she has two options. She's allowed to do one of two things. Option one, go horizontal. Literally go lay down. Take a nap, zone out, put on some TV, demonstrate to your brain that it is safe to relax whenever that thought shows up. We are rewiring the neural pathway that has been tying her hard work and her constant producing to her sense of worth and earning. We're retraining her nervous system to trust that doing less actually yields more than jumping in and trying to grind something out. And he gave her option two. If she can't get with the horizontal vibe for whatever reason, she has to do something that pours directly into herself, something she actually enjoys, something for pure enjoyment. And that's why I'm in my bed recording this right now. I'm not sitting at my desk with my professional mic and my notes organized and my posture all straight. I'm laying down, recording on my phone because I want to build this thing the way I actually want to live it, the way I actually want to maintain it and run it. If I'm going to prescribe the horizontal vibe to my clients, I should probably be willing to embody it myself. And you know what? This feels really fun, feels really good. It feels like how I want to build it. When I think about how much effort I put into the production of this in the first few weeks, really the first couple of months, compared to being comfortable laying in my bed, just chatting with you all, I mean, this feels like I can sustain it. And this is exactly the same thing I see over and over in myself and in my clients. We love going for things. We love building our outcomes. We love striving for goals. But if we're not intentional about how we do it, we're either going to build something we don't actually enjoy maintaining, or we're going to quit along the way because the cost of sustaining it isn't worth it. That's this whole experiment in a nutshell. I'm building this business on energy. And I want to be in the right energy while I build it as much as I can. I know weeks like last week are going to happen again. But if I try to turn it into a hustle and a production, it's just going to end up feeling icky. Like I don't really want to be a part of that. So that's where I'm at the end of week 24. I was in my fog. I came out of it. Nothing external shifted. I came out of it because I changed my thoughts. I identified the pattern. I flipped my script. I came up with a thought that feels really good to me, that anytime I notice someone else's success, it is because I am getting closer and closer and closer and closer to my own success. I said that on one of my walks this morning. The whole walk, every step, it was like, I'm getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. And I just did that for like a mile and a half. I got into almost like a little chant. I don't know. It was actually really cool. It sounds incredibly boring as I'm telling it to you now, but it was cool. It helped me move very differently. And like I said, I know this isn't going to last forever. I know I'm going to have my little fog moments come back and I'll have to do this work again. But that's the whole point. That's what cognitive engineering is. It is not a one-time fix. It's a practice. It's catching the thought, interrupting it, upgrading it, and activating the new one. over and over. That's the work. That's how I live. My son laughed at me for being able to feel successful while I'm on the sofa, but now I'm laying in my bed right now, recording a podcast episode on my phone, feeling like I'm fucking crushing it. And you know what? I feel more grounded than I have in a month. So maybe that idea isn't so funny after all, Mr. Z out there. I know you're not listening to this, but okay, so that's it. 24 weeks in. Go bet on yourself.